Hey everyone, I'm Raul Gonzalez.
And I'm Oscar Ibieta.
And this is Medicare Agent IQ. Hey, real quick before we get started, I want to mention to everybody, so obviously you're listening to this podcast and that's great, but do want to let everybody know that we're also on YouTube, and we're obviously we show this podcast on YouTube, but in addition to that, we have some regular tips that we release on Mondays and some other things on Thursdays, and then some shorts on Saturday. But also we have Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So we're really on all social media. I mean, I'm sure there's more, but on all the important ones. So we really want to make sure that you guys follow, engage, and really one of the big parts for me is if you have any kind of questions, anything that you say, man, I sure wish I knew more of, or I was kind of worried to go into this or that, share it with me. And you can do it in an anonymous way, or you can do it in a way that we can share your information. Man, it'd be really cool to have one of our listeners actually come on, and we'll talk them through.
Cool.
You want to do that? Hey, if you do want to be that listener, feel free to reach out, get into our DMs, and let us know, and we'll be happy to get you on the show, and we can talk you through whatever the issue is that you're having. So happy to do that. So today's topic is really kind of like something that probably not enough people think about, which is
Medicare Supplements.
Well, Medicare Supplement sales during AEP,
yeah,
right, yeah, because it's a big thing, and so first of all, there is a misconception amongst most seniors, and they think what?
I just think it's open enrollment, whether they've got a Medicare Supplement or a Medicare Advantage. It almost seems like they may not know any better, and we don't expect them to, right? That's our job, but they know that this time of year it's open enrollment, so they're going to ask, or they want to know, is there anything they need to do to update their plans? And really that applies primarily to Medicare Advantage plans and prescription drug plans. So when we talk about AEP, what everybody knows from October 15th through December 7th, that's the annual enrollment period for people with Medicare Advantage plans and prescription drug plans. But naturally, people with Medicare Supplements are still going to ask those questions.
And I'm embarrassed to say, but when I first started in this business, and now in fairness to me, I worked for Humana, and back then they didn't want anything to do with Medicare Supplement business. They wanted Advantage plans, and it was, well, I don't know. I mean, it was pretty clear to me as an employee.
Just rates were super high.
Rates were super high. Yeah. I mean, like MedSup might have been like $160 a month for Plan F, which was, at the time the best plan that you could get, and the competitors were like at $90 a month. Okay, so a big difference. They didn't want that. Yeah. We did not want the business. It seemed like, and so I maybe I'm putting words into their mouth, but it appeared to someone like myself that they didn't want that business, and so I wasn't well versed in Medicare Supplements, to be real honest. And so when someone would call me and they would say, hey, I would like to review my Medicare Supplement, my immediate response was, hey, I understand it's open enrollment. And so you see a lot of advertisements thinking that right now is the time to change your insurance, but realistically it's not. And that's probably not the best way to handle that, right?
Yeah. You want to have that conversation. You want to look at it as an opportunity. Anytime somebody approaches you, whether it's a Medicare Supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, look at it as an opportunity, because you do have the opportunity to put them in a better position, whether it's saving them money or just showing them other options that they may not have looked at in the past.
Yeah. And so one of the real important things to do is make sure that you are taking advantage of it. So if you get that call, and someone's saying that and say, is this the time that I should look into it? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This is really the time. I kind of think about if I were a senior right now, let's say I was 69 years old and I enrolled into a Medicare Supplement at 65, then the right thing would be to kind of maybe even look at it on an annual basis, get some quotes on an annual basis. But at least when I'm 69, it's definitely the right time, especially if I'm still healthy, to get another quote, see what else might be available.
Yeah, because a lot of times what you're going to see is these rates are going to go up year over year when you're on a Medicare Supplement. You're 69 years old. It's a good chance that you're not paying what you were initially paying when you turned 65 and got onto that plan. So to your point, if you're relatively healthy, reshop it. Take the time to look at it and see if there's another the same coverage available to you, but at a lower rate.
Yeah, I like to be on a plan G. I'm still on a plan G, but just with another company. I kind of, way that I would look at it would be that it's a way, and I'm trying to illustrate this without actually having, a real illustration. Right. But I illustrate it with my words. And I'm kind of imagining, so when I'm 65 years old, if maybe I shop, 2 years later at 67, and I'm able, because I get a rate increase, I'm able to bring that rate closer to where it's at, kind of level to where it was. And then at 68, I kind of do it again, and I find a lower rate where the rate would have been going up consistently from 65 by staying on that same plan. Now, when I turn 69, I'm able to do it again. And so I've kept those rates pretty level. And then when the situation comes that I'm no longer healthy enough to change my insurance, I'm starting from a lower position than if I would have been 65 and just kind of watching my rates go up.
Stayed on that.
And then all of a sudden it becomes unaffordable. And then I make that phone call. What I'm going to do? I'm sorry, sir, you can't change your Medicare supplement insurance now. So it'd be something that's worth looking at. And I know that for insurance agents, in particular Medicare agents, the reason that we're in this business is those renewals and not having to do all that. But again, I always want to talk about doing what's best for other people, right? And that would be one of the things, if they call you and they want to look, let's shop it around for them.
Yeah. So, and you're talking right now, I think that last line is for people who are on your book of business. But during AEP, when you're getting phone calls or you're meeting people, if you're out working events or you're sending mailers or whatever campaign it is that you're running, and you come across some potential prospects who have a Medicare supplement, don't be afraid to say, hey, let's go shopping. Let's see if we can get you on another one. And a big misconception is a lot of times people think that, once you're on the Medicare supplement, you're probably not going to be able to get onto another type of policy.
Yeah, I would say it's
another policy.
Yeah, it's a big fear for agents, and just it comes from, to be honest, a lot of us are Medicare Advantage agents, and I used to be like you just said, like when I was at Humana, I was 99% of the business I wrote was Medicare Advantage, and I don't think that if we're truly trying to meet people's needs, if we're really doing what's right for other individuals, then being 99% Medicare Advantage probably isn't the right move, right?
Yeah. You've got to be dynamic. You've got to be able to talk about all the options with your clients and being able to show them the whole menu, right? Not just parts of the menu or one part of it, Medicare Advantage. Don't be afraid. You've got to have the ability to open up the conversation and talk about all parts of it.
Yeah, so coming back, so if you're a Medicare Advantage, primarily Medicare Advantage agent, I want to just encourage you to know that just because someone is 69 years old, 70 years old, doesn't mean that they're not going to qualify for a Medicare supplement. It's worth your time to sit with them and to figure out and sort of review and give them a new quote, and then figure out whether or not they would qualify.
Yeah. And at the very least, you can, the other piece to that is the prescription drug plan. And so if there's no opportunity there for the Medicare supplement and you're getting these phone calls during AEP, then take the time to shop for that prescription drug plan, because there's a chance that we all know all these plans change from one year to the next. And so run a drug report and see what their coverage is looking like on their current plan for the coming year, and see if there's another option that makes more sense to them. We all know the commissions aren't as high when it comes to the prescription drug plans, but there's a lot more to it. There's some pieces, some doors that you're gonna open by doing this. Because
Oscar, that sounds like a lot of work for $70.
Well, here's the thing, though. Yeah. So I want to share a story with you. I have a client that was referred to me by another client, husband and wife. They both have Medicare supplements. They were probably about 70 years old when we started working together, and we were not able to get them qualified for another Medicare supplement. We wanted to reshop their Medicare supplement, but they weren't going to qualify. But what I did do was I took the time to reshop their prescription drug plan, and I was able to put them in a better position with a different drug plan. But what that did, right, $70 times 2, $140, big whoop, right? We make a lot more selling one Medicare Advantage plan. But what has happened with that couple is they have sent me so many referrals simply because I took the time to do an evaluation, a reevaluation of their prescription drug coverage, and put them in a better place. Now they refer a lot of business to me.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right, where you're doing it for the right reason, which is because you want to help the individual in front of you. I mean, that's what we're in this business for, is really to be able to help these seniors. It's if you do it the right way, it can feel noble by doing that. But the kind of side effect of that is that you get referrals for doing the right things. Right. It's funny how that works, right? Realistically in life, that's the way that life is that you do the right things and you can just watch how good things happen to you. That's just the way that life is. So let's talk again. So again, agents are a little bit afraid to if they get a call from someone with a Medicare Advantage plan and they say, hey, look, here's the deal. I think I'm ready to get on a Medicare supplement. Some agents would just be, well, you've been on an Advantage plan all the time. Let's shop for another Advantage plan for you. And that's just not that, if they call you looking for a Medicare supplement, of course it could lead to another Advantage sale, but you need to go in there and talk to them and see if they would qualify. So you go through the questions, and those questions are a pretty good indication of whether or not that they would qualify. Mm-hmm. Would you say that? There's if they answer yes to any of those questions, you already know that the answer is going to be no. They're not. Right. They're not going to get on to a supplement. So now maybe sell them a Medicare, another Medicare Advantage plan. But you've got to at least do it. And what I recommend is we use a tool where we can quote multiple, and a lot of CSG is the tool that we use, and I think most agencies are probably using them, or you should. It's a very valuable tool where you can quote multiple carriers and just get all that information very quickly. So from multiple carriers and really put them in the best possible situation. So you find that out. You find out what the lower cost plans are, and then just run through the questions and ask them, hey, just out of curiosity, I'm going to go through these questions. This is my quick underwriting, my in-home underwriting. I'm just going to go through and I will tell you for sure, we'll know for sure you won't qualify if you have one of these things, and then we'll figure it out from there. So you go through all the questions, and if you ask them all those questions and they say no to every single one of them, there's a pretty good chance that they will qualify. Mm-hmm. So here is a game changer, though. And you know what? But before we even do that, let's talk about why we would in the past we would caution agents, right? We would tell agents during AEP not to enroll people into a PDP and disenroll them from an Advantage plan if it was late into AEP. Why would we do that?
Because of the fact that it has to go through underwriting. It's got to run its course. It's going to process. And so if it's December 1st and you get a phone call from somebody who wants to enroll they're currently on a Medicare Advantage plan and they want to get onto a Medicare supplement. So what you would do is you would get them, in order to get them off their Advantage plan, you would enroll them into a PDP. Right. And then also submit the application for the Medicare supplement. But the problem that you could be facing is if you submit this application on December 1st and we don't get an answer by December the 7th, whether it's a yes or a no. We're hoping for a yes, but you can get into a world of trouble if December 7th rolls around, or after December 7th and it turns out that they did not get approved for their coverage. Now you're having to go back and have this conversation with them and say, hey, look, your Medicare supplement did not get approved. Oh, by the way, also, you're no longer on a Medicare Advantage plan. You're now just with a prescription drug plan.
Insult to injury.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Hey, by the way, sorry, I messed up your health care for the whole year. These are the things that are super important to be very, very careful with. So we've always told agents, hey, look, the later you get into AEP, the more cautious you want to be about going ahead and getting started. So over the years, if somebody would have called me and it was December the 1st, what I would probably do is say, hey, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do an application and we're going to make the effective date February 1st, because realistically it's not going to get approved within 7 days. Right. And so I would let them know that, and then we would go from there. But there's a game changer this year.
Talk about it.
It's called real-time underwriting. And I think, I want to say Aetna started this the previous year, but we didn't see too much of it. But I believe they did. But this year, we're seeing both Humana and United Healthcare offering real-time underwriting. So what does that mean? You go through the questions and it starts running some tests, and it does, from what I've heard and just kind of hearing bits and pieces of how it might work, one of the carriers is using AI to kind of determine, kind of realistically make it look like if an actual underwriter was there, which is pretty cool. That's some cool stuff that's happening right now. So they can get you an answer the same day for a lot of the people that you would enroll. So now if I get that phone call on December the 1st, I'd be like, well, yeah, let's do it and let's run it. What could happen? Could say pending. And so if it does say pending, what are we going to do?
You got to wait, right? Yep. Or go back to what you said. Hey, if it shows pending, then maybe we go back and change that effective date. And if we were shooting for a January 1, let's push it to February 1st just to tread on the safer side of things.
Yeah, I would be very cautious about that because, if it's pending, I want to be very careful, again, not to put them in that situation where really, like I said, ruining their healthcare, right?
Yeah. But with this real-time underwriting, you can also get it approved in that same situation. So December 1st, there's a chance that person can get their Medicare supplement approved that same day.
It's kind of cool.
Very similar to like any agents who are listening. If you do final expense, you get the answer in the same day. Of course, there are situations where you don't get that answer immediately. It pens, and you have to wait to see what the results are going to be. But for the most part, you get a response right away, and we're hoping to get it approved so that way you can get them off that Medicare Advantage plan and onto a PDP before that December 7th deadline.
Yeah, so there are going to be some people that maybe there's, but it's funny because sometimes we run into people who don't know whether or not they have such and such disease, and so maybe there's some gray area. Maybe they're on a medication that can be used for two different things, and so if it's used for this, they don't qualify, but if it's used for the other thing, they do, and so that's why things pen. It's not, and that's why usually they use real underwriters for that kind of thing. But it's going to be a game changer, so make sure that you take advantage of that. Don't shy away from that business. It's an important thing.
Yeah, one piece I would also add is just if you're planning to write Medicare supplement business, or if you've got stuff that you've had in the pipeline getting into AEP, I think a good practice, a best practice for an agent is to try and get those Medicare supplement applications in early in AEP and try not to wait until later.
Just in doing it anyway, like if you have it, let's get to it first.
Yeah, knock it out. And another piece is Medicare supplement. I know we're having the conversation right now about it being AEP, but Medicare supplement, it's a year-round business. So you can write Medicare supplements all year long, but the whole reason we're having the conversation here today is because it's AEP, and you are going to have people reaching out to you that are on Medicare supplements asking if they need to do anything with their plan.
Hey, sometimes you'll also get a phone call from them saying, hey, I haven't got my premium yet for next year. And I'm like, well, yeah, a lot of people, they're not releasing their benefit. I'm sorry, their rate increases until maybe January or February. But it's an opportunity. If you get a phone call like that, turn that into an opportunity. Say, you know what? We know it's probably going to go up, right? Because that's what happens every year. Why don't we just do a quote right now, see if we can find you something lower? So don't miss out on an opportunity because they haven't got their rate increase yet and it's not coming out till January, February. Yeah. Do it right now. Now's the opportunity. I always talk about, and we've talked about this a number of times, but you let them go and you don't do that, and then they run into another agent and they're like, oh, don't worry, I took care of it. Yeah. I talked to another really good agent that took care of it, but thanks for helping. So don't let up. Remember, I always tell people, like, we want to be cautious, and we don't want to be aggressive in a way that makes the seniors uncomfortable, but go after that sell. Yeah. Keep in mind, you're still working sales. We take orders, we're trying to help people, but ultimately we still have some responsibility. And when we do a good job of sales, a lot of times it's easier for that individual because now we've eliminated they're not having to worry about or think about, hey, I forgot to do this, I forgot to take care of it. So help them right then and there.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's talk about what happens when a Medicare Advantage plan leaves the service area for, let's just say that they decide to pull that plan out. They're no longer going to offer that PPO anymore. A couple things happen, right? One, they get an SEP. When does that SEP run till?
Usually they give them through, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they give them until January 31st.
Yep.
Yeah.
They give them through the end and that's a SEP to enroll into another Medicare Advantage plan.
Right. So that individual is on a Medicare Advantage plan. They get a notice saying your plan is no longer going to be available going into 2024. So if they don't make any changes before the end of the year, on January 1st, they're going to be left with just original Medicare. And so if even though they have until January 31st to make a change, they've got the SEP, you want to make sure that plan's not going to be available on January 1. So you want to try and get that taken care of before the end of the year, but you may run into some of those individuals. January rolls around. Hey, what happened? They're telling me I don't have. They go to the pharmacy, right? And they're trying to fill their prescriptions, and they get told their plan's no longer, their plan isn't active anymore. They still have until the rest of January 31st to make a change.
Right.
But try and catch them before.
What happens with their ability to enroll into a Medicare supplement?
They get a guaranteed issue.
All right. So again,
all that underwriting goes away.
There we go. And let's talk about, I just want to make sure that we clarify. So we're in Texas and, what we're speaking to is how it works in most states. And so I want to just clarify that because there are some, I think Oregon, Washington State, they have some different rules that I don't think people can get turned down for med sups out there. Yay for you guys. but for us out here in Texas and the rest, and in a lot of states, you have to qualify for these plans. So this is what we're referring to, but you get guaranteed issue. That means you can't be turned down for the Medicare supplement. And so that's an important thing for seniors. I'll tell a quick story of a situation. I had a client who was, I enrolled them like in 2008, something like that. And this was maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the plan pulled out of their county. And so they called me up and I was like, let me come out there. So I went ahead and helped them. But I was able to find out that he actually had cancer, and he was going through chemotherapy and, having some significant costs. So what we were able to do is get him enrolled into a Medicare supplement. No questions asked. Yeah. And that is what you're hoping for, right? So he was able to get on that Medicare supplement, and he was on a Plan F because he had Medicare prior to 2020. And so his situation, didn't have to pay anything for his chemotherapy. He just had to pay his monthly premium. So that was a win for him, right?
Yeah. And it's a win. It's a win for you. It's a testimony because he went from being on that plan, that Medicare Advantage plan that had a max out of pocket of probably $6,000 or $7,000, where you knew there was a good chance that he's probably going to reach that max out of pocket, but because that plan left the market, and of course, before he got noticed that plan was leaving the market, if he wanted a Medicare supplement, he was going to get declined. He was not going to get accepted onto the Med Sup. But because the plan was leaving the market, it opened up that guaranteed issue door for him. He was able to get on a Medicare supplement, no questions asked. And so you did something good for him. You were able to put him in a better position where he was going to be saving a ton of money. And let's talk a little bit about, I don't know if you were about to go into that.
Not yet. Okay. Because here's what I want to say, because I want to go on a soapbox real quick. And so there's a lot of agents out there that say, they would say something like, hey, Raul, you should have enrolled him in a Medicare supplement in the first place. Then you wouldn't have needed that. So let's talk about that real quick. The man was about 80 years old maybe 82 years old when I did that. And this individual was one of the healthiest people that I'd ever known. He lived in this neighborhood. He was a very wealthy man, by the way. And he lived in an area. He would go on these. They'd exercise daily. When I first met him, he was probably 70 and maybe 68. Very healthy man. And for the majority of that time, he was on maybe a $15 a month PPO and never had any healthcare issues. Basically saved him thousands of dollars in Medicare supplement premium during that time that would put him in a position to, when he did need it, to be able to hit that max out of pocket. He still came up on top when he was hitting that max out of pocket. And then he lived for 2 more years after that. So realistically, just kind of, because I know that's one of the things that agents think. He actually came out ahead, even if he would have stayed on that Medicare Advantage plan. But this was a situation where we got him to get on a Med Sup. So I just want to let agents know that, and kind of he was healthy for all of his years and was able to get on that. So, but let's talk real quick about commissions, right? That was where you were going, right?
Issue, yeah.
Guaranteed issue commissions. So some carriers are paying out like 1%, 2%, 1.5% for guaranteed issue business. And so there's maybe 1 or 2 out there that will pay. One of them pays 50% of their normal commission, and another one will pay the normal commission. Yeah. For that one, for the one that I here in Texas, the one that does pay, it's like it's much more expensive for that plan than it is for one of these lower cost plans that offers guaranteed issue that only pays 1 or 2% commission. And I'll say that for me, in the way that I do things, I struggle morally, kind of internally, to put him on the more expensive, or put an individual on the more expensive plan. I can't do that. I'll take the 1 or 2% commission, do the right thing by that client, and get them on. Everybody's got to do things in their own way, but I'll tell you what, in my life and the way that I've done things, and I know you do things very similarly, when you do the right things for people, it always ends up coming back to you, right? So I personally, we want to let all agents know that you do this guaranteed issue business. You're not making a whole lot of money. You can make up for it in other areas. Sign them up for a PDP, something like that. But realistically, you're going to get paid, a very small amount for Medicare. For Medicare supplement guaranteed issue. So just want to let agents know about that. Any thoughts on that besides?
Just do what's right for the individual. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come back full circle. And so I'm a huge believer in, when you do what's right for that individual, it is going to come back to reward you. And so our hopes are that you've done enough good, you've built a good relationship with that particular client, and all your clients for that matter, that it's going to lead to referrals. And so even though you're only going to make that 1 or 2%, we're hoping that because you're doing what's right for that individual, that it's going to lead to a lot more referrals down the road. Yeah. And it will, I promise you.
And it feels good doing the right thing for people.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I just do the right thing, guys. I mean, that's
sleep
that's
at
what
night. I feel like I get to go to bed at night knowing that what I'm doing out there for my clients is I'm doing right by them. And so I'm able to sleep very well at night.
Yeah. It's easy for me to remove the individual that's in front of me and place my mom there, or my grandmother there. It used to be when I was like 27 when I started this. I was always thinking about my grandparents. Now it's my mom. Been doing this now for 16 years, and so you can do that. It's just remove that person in your mind and say, what would I want to do for my own mom? What would I want to do for my own grandmother? And I'll tell you that it does feel good knowing that you're doing the right thing, and just kind of how you would hope that people would do that for your own family. So. Last thing is really just you're building some long-term relationships with these clients. It could benefit you quite a bit. Referrals and many other ways. It's very rewarding to care for these people. So just want to encourage people, don't be afraid to sell Medicare supplements during AEP. It's an opportunity that presents itself. So don't be afraid to get out there and do that. Any last thoughts?
Don't be afraid to do it.
Let's do it. Hey, just want to remind everybody, follow us on our social media. And again, put the challenge out there. If you're having an issue, you're a listener of ours, you're having an issue, regardless of where you're from, give us a call. We're happy to coach you through some of the things that you're going through, and we'll do it. I'd happily, we actually helped an individual down in very, very south in Texas that was struggling, and we got her on the line with one of our managers, and they kind of did an AEP game plan for her. We depending on how many we get, we wouldn't be able to do it, but maybe we could do that on the air. Maybe we could kind of figure out and on the show, get you on, and we could maybe change your name for the for the show. So thank you so much, and until next week, thanks so much for having us in your vehicle during this AEP.